last presentation for today, and it is a presentation about SDGs, so Sustainable Development Goals, and European Union policies, which are aimed mostly at environmental sustainability, and so environmental crisis problems. So, we can see that the current era of globalization and the degree of interconnectedness of the world is only contributing to the deepening of differences among individual groups of countries, and also the problems which are acquiring global character, so which are affecting the whole world. And we can also, because they are global, we can also see them in our daily lives too. We can also say how it was mentioned in previous lecture, that the environmental problems are threatening the survival of humanity. We were talking about climate change, but we are witnessing environmental crisis for last decades, and the state of environment is still worse. So we can say that the efforts of the international community are not effective enough. However, maybe, or I'm sure that you remember, the year 2019, which was known mainly for weekly demonstrations, which started mainly by Swedish young activist Greta Thunberg, and she mobilized masses. At first, masses of young people who started to demonstrate too weekly in front of their parliaments, and then she mobilized also other groups, age groups of people. And so during the whole year 2019, we had many demonstrations because of the climate change, which was recognized as the most serious global problem, global environmental problem, and also because of other consequences of environmental crisis. However, we know that after the year 2019, the corona crisis came, so the global pandemic started to be a new crisis, which we had to face acutely. So most of the activities which were focused on environmental problems must stop for a while. But during the year 2019, this was a really active year in environmental sustainability achieving, because we were witnessing not only the demonstrations which were occurred weekly, we had also in September 2019 the biggest global climate strike, an environmental strike in New York, and then we had also a big UN climate change summit in New York also in September. And then there are other conferences. The last was in December 2019. It was connected. We had two main events. One was global and one European. And about that European, we will talk more in the end of this lecture, because as it is in the name and the title of the lecture, it is SDGs and EU policies. So the main goal of current era and for current global community is to create effective cooperation within all international community, because they must work together, and they have to find effective, really effective solutions to current environmental problems. And now we will go back to the sustainable development concept. I know that the first presentation was also only focused on this issue. However, we will repeat some things, but we will mainly mention and highlight the way how we got to SDGs. So, sustainable development concept is not a new concept. It's starting to be developed from 70s of the previous century, but as you already heard in the first lecture, they were firstly defined in 1987. However, generally we can understand the sustainable development concept as development that maintains the ability of present and future generations to meet their basic needs in life without reducing the diversity of nature and preserving the natural functions of ecosystems. So, from the beginning of the dealing with sustainable development ideas and the concept, UN played, so United Nations played important roles, and also in 80s they created a commission, and the role or task for this commission was to create a definition for sustainable development. So in 1987 this commission adopted the report, Brundtland report, which is called Our Common Future, and this provided the first official definition of sustainable development. And it defines it as development that enables the needs of present generations to be met without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So, from this time, when United Nations officially defined a sustainable development concept, we saw, you can see in the history, that from this time many conferences and many documents started focusing on this concept. And for example, you can also hear about the conference in Rio de Janeiro and the Rio Declaration, and also the Agenda 21, which were adopted in 1992. But then, very important milestone was Millennium Development Summit. What is this? Millennium Development Summit, which was held in 2000, and it was a very important turning point in these processes towards current sustainable development strategies. Millennium Development Summit was important because it created new international cooperation and partnership among individual countries with the main goal to achieve sustainable development. And within this summit, 8 Millennium Development Goals were adopted. You could see the small picture with Millennium Development Goals in the presentation which was first. So I am curious if you remember some of those goals which were set in 2000 as the most serious global threats which humanity was facing and defined under the term Millennium Development Goals. Do you remember some?
The underwater. There was uninhabited places where it's not possible to be living.
There were only short slogans, how to say it, and they are defined very shortly. So 8 Millennium Goals. The first was no poverty, or at least areas to which they were focused. Do you remember some?
Food security.
Yeah. Do you think that also environmental sustainability was presented there already in the year 2000? Yeah, exactly. It was, but it was only a part of one goal. So the goal number 7, ensure environmental sustainability. So you can see that from that international community in the year 2000 defined only 8 goals, which they thought are the most serious threats for global world, for humanity. Only 8 goals. So eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, achieve universal primary education, promote gender equality and empower women, reduce child mortality, improve maternal health, combat HIV, AIDS, malaria and other diseases, ensure environmental sustainability, and global partnership for development. So only these 8 goals were defined in the year 2000. They had a deadline to be achieved, 2015, and they had many problematic areas, what was also the reason why they weren't fulfilled. So the most problematic thing was that these goals were defined very briefly. So they were also missing some concrete strategy how to address them, how to achieve them. And they were also missing some social justice and the cooperation among global South and global North countries. So it was oriented only or mostly to the global North countries, so to the wealthier countries who are causing the global climate crisis and environmental crisis most, and also other crises. But there is a need for cooperation of the whole world, and this was missing here. So, quite a long time before 2015, it was clear for the international community that these goals will not be achieved until 2015. There was some progress, and it was visible progress when we look at the data. However, it was not enough. So the international community had new task to think about and prepare new development goals and to prepare them more precisely. So another very important milestone, and for us very important year, was the year 2015, when in September in New York the Development Summit, UN Development Summit was held, and within this summit the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development was adopted, and it contains new sustainable development goals. Now we have 17 goals and 169 targets, and these goals and targets go much deeper than Millennium Development Goals. They are emphasizing particular and the universal need for development, which is targeted to all groups in the world, to all countries, to global South countries, to global North countries. These goals have specific strategies and plans how to be achieved, and also there is a strong partnership among global North and global South countries. So all parts of the world are incorporating in this agenda and new sustainable development goals. And these are the goals. So number 1, no poverty, then zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, the goal number 13, you know, climate action, then 14, life below water, another goal, life on land, and then peace, justice and strong institutions, and the last is same as previous, so strong partnership and cooperation among countries to achieve these sustainable development strategies. What is important, and I'm sure you know it, the sustainable development concept contains 3 main pillars, and you read it also in the previous lecture. So do you remember what are the 3 main pillars of sustainable development?
Social, economic, and environment.
Yeah, so these are the 3 main pillars. So all the sustainable development strategies are based on these 3 pillars, and also these 17 goals represent these 3 areas of social life. You can see economic problems incorporated here, also environmental problems which are incorporated most, and then of course social problems. It is important that all 3 areas are strongly interconnected. So if we want to achieve sustainable development in environmental area, we cannot skip also the social and economic area, and vice versa. However, the economic or environmental problems are thought to be the most serious, and without achieving sustainability in environmental area, it is useless to solve the other problems, because if we will not have the place where to live after the ecosystems will be destroyed, it is useless to have solved social problems and economic problems. Yeah. So, currently we observe increasingly intensive efforts to develop active and feasible sustainable development strategies and policies at different levels, from local to global. And we can say that all important organizations, whether they are local or national, regional or global, all are oriented somehow in some extent to fulfill sustainable development goals. And also it is important that all countries who are signatories also of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and so also the Sustainable Development Goals, they should implement the sustainable development strategies into their national policies and do everything they can to achieve them until 2030, because also Sustainable Development Goals has their deadline. However, it is quite problematic. You saw the goals, and do you objectively think that these goals will be fulfilled until 2030? No, it's impossible. Yeah, so already now, international community and experts are thinking about new development goals, which will be adopted in 2030. However, it is clear already now that these goals will not be fulfilled. However, we have also some very strict rules and ambitions set in these goals and also in European Green Deal. So reduce the greenhouse gas emissions of many percent, nearly of a half, until 2030, and also to stop using normal cars and use electric cars. And these rules and these plans are really strict and will have impact, very strong impact on ordinary people. And the goals are nice, visions are nice, but they are not reworked enough to be implemented in real life. And now we will focus mostly on environmental problems, because, how I said, they represent the highest priority, because they are endangering mostly the life on the earth, people and all human organisms. So environmental problems clearly dominate in all scheme of sustainable development. And the environment, we have to say, is severely threatened, and environmental problems can be considered therefore as the most acute ones. The fact that environment is affecting strongly also other pillars of sustainability. We can see, for example, on the in Africa, when we think about water scarcity and the role of young women in Africa, they have to look after the water, ensure the water for their families, and they many times they spend all day when they are going to take the water and bring it home. Therefore, this is affecting their social life and then also economic life and position, because these women must leave school and look after their task, and therefore their social life is suffering, and then also because they have lack of education, it is affecting also their economic position. So we can see that environmental problems can have really strong impact also on other areas of sustainability. Therefore, for example, you can see the Sustainable Development Goals. So we had a list of global goals here, and you can see that from the list of these 17 goals, about 14 goals are somehow oriented on environment and achieving environmental sustainability. So for example, the goal number 2, also the goal number 3, which is good health and well-being, quality education, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent works and economic growth, industry. You can see here, and I will send it also to you, the targets of the goals, and these are clearly focused on environmental sustainability, even it is not the main goal of the point. So from 17 goals, 14 are focused on environmental sustainability. So, we can also say that environment is somehow the cornerstone of all development, and protecting the environment is an effective and comprehensive manner is not only the goal but also a fundamental requirement for the humanity. We recognize several most important environmental problems in current world, mainly the climate change and global warming, then the problems of air, water and soil pollution, overpopulation of the earth, because this means that we have to produce more and we have to consume more, and then there is a problem of depletion of resources, and also huge amount of waste, the problem of waste disposal, the decline of loss of biodiversity, forest degradation and deforestation, land degradation, ocean acidification, acid rains, ozone depletion, and of course the water scarcity, drinking water scarcity mainly. This list of problems is not full, however these were only the most serious ones. And we can also say that all these problems are caused by human activity, and mainly human can make some change. However, many of these problems and consequences of environmental crisis are irreversible, so we have to just adapt and live with them, but we have to also make effective strategies to minimize the negative consequences for the future. And now the EU sustainable policies, as we could see in the name of the presentation, it is the second part. So EU sustainable policies. EU is really active in addressing sustainable development goals and strategies connected with this, and this is also really reasonable, because EU is the third biggest polluter behind the USA and China, so it should be really strongly participative in this. And we can say that Agenda 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its goals are somehow in the heart of all world organization. So within the European Union there were defined and adopted several important documents which are focused on environmental sustainability, and very important in all this is the focus on development goals, sustainable development goals. As you can see, European Union has 6 main priorities, and these priorities are focused on specific SDGs. So for example, European Green Deal, we will talk about European Green Deal later, is focused on 12 of the SDGs. I was talking about 14 SDGs which are focused on environment. Now here is missing just the 2 last, like making peace and justice, global justice, which means also environmental justice, and the partnership, which somehow support the efforts of countries, global south countries and global north countries. So this can be also adopted here. Economy that works for people, then Europe fit for the digital age, European way of life, stronger Europe in the world, and European democracy. So these are the main 6 priorities of European Union in the way to support sustainable development goals. And for this task, they have also their own European environmental policy. Within this policy, they have adopted their own programs, and then we will mention also the European Green Deal, and we don't have to forget that European Union is signatory of Paris Agreement, which was mentioned in the previous lecture about climate change. So we can say that the European Union has one of the highest standards, environmental standards in the world. However, how I said, it is reasonable, and it has many policies that reflect these SDGs. And the mentioned European environmental policy is one of the most important. It was created already in 1973 with the Action Program for the Environment, and this EP is based on the Article 11 and 191 and 193 of the Treaty of the Functioning for the Functioning of the European Union, and this is focused on combating climate change. Explicit objective is Article 191, which is focused on the climate change mainly and the environmental crisis. And I do not have more time, so you can see the presentation which I will send you. And very important is also this part, European Green Deal, which was adopted. This is the last thing which I want to say. European Green Deal is a very important document, but as you can see, it was adopted in December 2019. The 2019 year was mentioned as a very active year because of the demonstrations and environmental activities. However, December was very shortly before coronavirus pandemic, and during next 2 years, the activities to ensure environmental sustainability had to nearly stop. So these European Green Deals have nice goals, but they were quite postponed for 2 years nearly. So thank you for your attention.